And we have Taufik, who's going to be our evaluator. Yay! Good to see you, Taufik.
Good to see you too.
So we just have to wait a few minutes until we get a few more people in here.
Bhumi, good to see you and doing the timer role efficiently.
Thank you, Toastmaster Taufik.
How many speeches tonight?
We have one demo speaker who's going to demonstrate how to do a speech, the second speech after having received her first evaluation, and that is Elle Ballard. And Taufik is going to be the evaluator. And then I will be the evaluator of the evaluator. I'm also going to do a presentation on this part of the pathways. That is that level one, where you go from your first speech to your second speech. And it's usually the same speech, and you want to incorporate the evaluation that you've received. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what you need to do in an evaluation and how to receive that evaluation and make the most use of it. And I'm going to be talking about a few of the things that you might want to include in your second speech or think about. There are lots of cool things that you can do to improve your speech.
Okay, great.
Okay, we have our guest, we have Munish, we have Linda, we have Cassandra, we have Elle. I think that we are ready to go.
One more question, Michelle.
Yes.
The second speech, it's a new topic, right? It's not like the first speech, right?
It can be the exact same topic, and usually it is. But you can tweak it, you can change it, you can change all kinds of things to make it seem like a totally different speech, but it may be the same theme if you want to, but it doesn't have to be either. It's generally that you do that. So I'm going to ask you, Elle, your speech, have you taken a speech that you did before and you've redone it again? So when I'm doing my presentation about this, I'm going to ask you to talk about what kind of things you had been told about your speech, so people can really start to look at your second speech and see how you've addressed that. Would you be willing to do that? Share some of that? Not in your speech, but in while I'm doing my presentation. I'm going to be opening up to questions.
Oh, okay, sure.
Great. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. I want to make the most use of the time. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is this part of pathways. It's a level one. You start out with your icebreaker, then you give your first speech, and you get evaluated by somebody, hopefully somebody who's experienced in giving an evaluation. And then you give your second speech, and it's usually the same speech incorporating the points made by the evaluator. Now, the first thing I want to emphasize for you all is that you don't have to necessarily take the evaluator's comments as the word of God. It is only their opinion. If it fits with you, then use it. If it works, if it helps you to improve, use it. A good evaluation always makes you feel excited about, oh, yes, I can add this to my speech. Oh, how cool. As opposed to, oh, I failed. That's the difference between evaluation to motivate and evaluation that crushes. In Toastmasters, we really stress giving evaluations that uplift people, that make them excited. So there is what we call the sandwich method. You start out with things that you like about the speech, maybe general comments. Always start out with things that you really liked about the speech. Then in the middle part, you talk about things that they could improve or stretch. And you use words like, in my opinion, I think you could improve the speech by doing such and such. And generally, when you give an evaluation like that, it's also a good idea to demonstrate what you mean so that the person really understands. And then if you want to take them a little bit further, you can say, and this is how you can stretch yourself. So recently I gave an evaluation to somebody who was actually in a speech contest. She asked for my evaluation and I gave it to her. And I told her the things that I thought were great about her speech. And there were many wonderful things. And then I told her that there was some part of the speech that was a little confusing to me, and that there were things that she could put in there that would actually make the speech even deeper, that it would cause people to feel more emotional and involved, because she was talking about somebody who had lost their mother. And she sort of just flipped over that. And I said, take it deeper. That's my opinion, that it could make it a more valuable speech. So that's what you're looking for, is something that really helps people to really improve their speech. And then finally, the last part, the sandwich, is you go back to the good things. You also want to save the very best of the good things for last. That leaves people uplifted. You might end by saying how you see them taking the speech to the next level. For example, I would say, oh, I really look forward to hearing you give this speech again. Or, you know, you might really want to use this in a speech competition. Or I can see you giving this out to the community. I could see this speech being used in that way. So that's how you give a good speech evaluation. So now the question is, how do you improve your speech? Some of the things that can be mentioned in your speech. Do I have a timer? Are you timing me, Bhumi? Great. So some of the things that you might want to improve, one might be just the organization. One of the things that I've learned that really helps me to remember my speech is to make 3 points. 3 main points that I want to emphasize. And I can actually use that in my body movement to help me remember and everybody else to remember. So that's one of the things that I like in terms of the structure of a speech. So you, in the beginning, you tell people what they're going to gain from your speech. Then you give your speech. And then at the end, you summarize. Why would you summarize? So that if somebody sort of spaced out for a minute, they can remember and put it all together. So those are things that I find that are really useful for the structure. So what are some of the other things? Now, some of you have been given a first speech. Taufik, did you give a first speech already? Do you remember any evaluations that were given to you that you felt were particularly useful? Any points or stretch goals that you were given?
I was told on my vocal variation that I could use to my advantage, as well as to add more humor, because I have a funny story in my speech, so I could use the humor to the advantage and gain the attention of the audience.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, those are really good. The vocal variety. So how can you make your vocalizations more varied? One of the ways is the difference between the speed of your speech, to get more excited on certain points and maybe quiet other places. So that's vocal variety. Another way of doing vocal variety is that you tell a story and you actually bring your characters into the story. So for example, I'm giving a speech tomorrow and I'm going to start out with the voice of the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Who are you? That's my voice for the caterpillar. So that will wake people up. That will make them more interested. Some other things you can put in are pauses. Pauses are huge for creating vocal variety. It gets people to listen, to pay attention. You can also add the vocal variety with a gesture. So for example, maybe you want to whisper. So you know what next I want to tell you about? And everybody leans in because you have used the movement and also the level of your voice, and you can do that. Stage is one of the hardest things to do on Zoom. And when I give a speech, I try to do it standing up. I'm not going to do it now because I'm only going to be talking for a short while and I'm too lazy. No, but you can still move around even if you're sitting in the chair to add emphasis. So I started out by telling you about how to give a good evaluation. And now I'm talking about some of the evaluations that you might receive and what to do about it. And then at the end, I will summarize. Body language. So body language is partly using the stage, but partly it's using your hands, your gestures, your face. Like if you're sad, or if you're serious, or if you're laughing, those are all body language. And I tend to use my hands a lot. So I have to remember to keep my hands up for you to see them and to make gestures. Of course, it was a lot easier when we were all meeting in person because you could see my whole body and I could use the space so much easier. It still is a challenge to use the space in Zoom for me because I'm looking at a camera and there's this little tiny dot and I'm trying to move around the room and keep my eyes on the camera. So it's something that you really want to work on. How am I doing? How many more minutes do I have?
7 minutes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh, what do I do now? I'm going to ask some people some questions and ask you to ask me questions. So Linda, I know that you are an experienced Toastmaster. What are some of the best evaluation feedback that you've ever received that has really improved your speaking?
Thank you, coordinator. The worst, I would not say the best evaluation that I got. The worst evaluation that I got was that I failed in my project right in front of the audience, you know. It was really bad. Yeah, they just said, well, the evaluator will say, Linda, you did not, we didn't follow the objectives and I have to fail you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
no, that's a terrible evaluation. That's
yeah, it was. I was felt so
humiliating. Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible, worse.
Yeah, terrible. That was the worst. I will always remember what she said.
Wow.
And then she said,
terrible.
Then I questioned the other evaluators who was more senior than her. He said, well, that's what the objective is. You did not. But then to tell the speaker of this is really bad. I felt you can say things to me that they are not agreeable to you behind the scene, not in front of the audience.
Well, there's a way to how would you, if you were an evaluator and you felt like somebody had not quite met their objectives, how might you give that evaluation in a way that was more palatable, that was more accessible? Do you have an idea of how you would do that?
I would suggest that she would tell me that you might want to do it again, the speech, rather to fail me in front of the audience.
Right. Okay. So what we want to focus on is how can you say it better? So for example, you could say, you know, a stretch goal could be that maybe you might want to put this and this and this in your speech. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to say, I failed you. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's right. I was really distressed about what she said. Well, if I have not, if I have feel very bad, I would have left the club, you know?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. How about you, Munish? Have you ever gotten an evaluation that you felt was really helpful?
Yes, it was very helpful. I made a mistake. I realized the mistake. I didn't put the pause. You told one thing, when we have to give a speech, we have to do the conclusion in the way, and three things which you have said. Can you please elaborate those three things?
Sure. I actually did a speech one time about how to create your first speech and what kinds of things you want to put in. So you want to do an opening. And of course, we're all taught about how to do an opening that really catches the audience. So for example, I gave you the example of the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. I hope that you all know that story. If not, you could ask me. But making that, who are you? That's how I'm going to open a speech. It's like, what? And it will catch people's attention. But then you might want to give people an idea of where you're going with your speech so that people can adjust and they will actually be more able to listen to what you have to say. Like, for example, I have 3 points I want to make on how you can be more comfortable in your body, for example, and then you give your 3 points. So you have your opening, you tell people what you're going to say, then you tell your 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And I like to do the 1, 2, 3 actually using the stage. That is 1, 2, 3. In the English language, we read from right to left. So you see, I started the right, and then the middle, and then the left. And so people actually associate both the point with a physical location. And it's easier for me to remember because I remember, oh, here, I'm going to talk about this point, remembering to breathe. And then I'm going to talk about wiggling my toes when I start to forget. And then over on this point, that I make sure that I look at my audience and I look into each and every person's eyes. And then finally, to summarize, okay, so I made 3 points. I made the point that you want to, now I don't remember what my points are, but you want to remember your points and say, okay, remember to breathe. Remember to look into your audience's eyes. Remember to pause, whatever it is, and say that again, so that people will, if they missed it in the course of the speech, they'll actually remember it again. Okay, I'm almost done. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Munish, that was a great question. Thank you. Anybody else? Before we get our beautiful demo speaker to give her speech. Elle, do you have anything people should be paying attention to when you give your speech? Or will Taufik already know what to have them pay attention to?
No, I mean, it's all good. We already kind of spoke. I tend to use a lot of arms, but I think it's a cultural, because I had to switch rooms. Just bear with me 1 second.
Okay, no problem. Take your time.
Yeah. Had to switch rooms, and it's a great reminder that we should stand up. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, great. And Cassandra, do you have anything you want to add or ask questions about before we begin?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So Taufik, I believe that you were going to introduce Elle and the title of her speech and what her objectives are.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. It was a wonderful Speechcraft coordination that you did, and we gained a lot from the experience and expertise that you shared with us. Toastmaster Ellie Ballard, welcome on board. It's lovely to have you here. The topic that I was given was, she's going to speak on the title, Benefits of Networking. And the purpose statements are, the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to the second speech. The purpose of the speech is for the member to demonstrate that she has applied the feedback received from her first speech. All the very best.
Okay, so introduce her, Elle. What are the benefits of networking? The benefits of networking, Elle Ballard.
Thank you so much, Tafik. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Good evening, good morning for some of you. My name is Elle, and this is the second time I'm giving this speech. So one of the suggestions in the first speech was that I should change my topic, and I actually failed to send that. So that's nobody's fault. I should have sent that, but there was a suggestion to rename it to top 10 networking tips. And then the other suggestion was in the flow of it. Anyway, I am one of my passions actually, and one of my great, I guess, the thing that I love to do is communicating and meeting new people. So for me, it's such a one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite subjects to talk about. And you probably heard that each one of us has 250 people in our circle, right? The 250 people that we can, those that typically come to our weddings, they come to our birthdays. When we meet new people, we not only meet that one person, but we are meeting and we are connecting to that person's universe and all of those who that person connects to, right? Especially for those of us who are in business for themselves, me including. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about 10 benefits of networking. Number one, and I'm going to start with the ones that are least important. I'm going to move to the most important in my mind. Number 10, referral and cross promotions when networking. That's something that I learned in BNI. It stands for Business Network International, for business and entrepreneurs. That's something that I learned is a giver's gain. And I love that concept, approaching everything with the, how can I help you? And that's one of the habits that I acquired when I was part of BNI is really, and now I make a note, who is that person looking for? If that's a specific a professional, if that's a specific background or whatever it is, I make a note of that. And I love to connect people if I find a good match. That's number 10. Number 9, have a system in place to follow up with them. That's something that I learned from John Maxwell, one of my indirect mentors. He has a system that he stays in touch with his people that he meets. One of those systems that I've started is birthdays. I think that's the easiest for me to follow on, and that's a good way to connect with people. A lot of people do that during the holidays. They send emails, but we do get a lot of messages anyway. So I choose the connection point to be birthdays. Right? So having a good reason to connect with that person and staying in touch with that person. Number 8, ask good questions. When we meet new people, what prompted them to come to this event? For example, if you meet them at the event, how long have they been doing what they're doing? What challenges they're experiencing? Bob Burke in his book, he talks about 3 benefits of business cards. And you probably have heard of them, maybe you know them already, but it's not to get an instant business, right? So the 3 benefits of the business card is actually you can win something. So when you collecting you can have a giveaway. Number 2 is you can get a lead. And number 3, you can get other cards when giving yours away, right? So those 3 are good reasons that I'm always reminded on. That was number 8. Number 7, the energy. People meet you and see you based on the energy when you enter the room, when you talk to people, when you meet people, you smile, everything that matters. In some cultures, it's a little bit different. And I love how our keynote speaker today, she spoke about cross-cultural communication. That's another my favorite topic. Love talking about that. But yeah, so your energy, your vibration, we all feel that, right? That's so important. Well, right now it's hard to do it on Zoom, but I actually feel it on Zoom too. I don't know if you do, but for me, like I'm very, I guess, highly, I feel that energy even through Zoom. Number 6, following through what you said you would do. That's an easy one, but that's not very, in the business of our lives, sometimes we forget. If we promise that we're going to do something and then, things happen. And making sure we follow through on what we promised we would do, what we said we would do. That was number 6. Number 5, thanking the person. That's an obvious one, but it's, again, we get busy, we forget to say little as simple as thank you very much for introducing me to that person, for providing that referral, or just, for that introduction. Number 4, using the service yourself before you refer it to someone. That's one of my number 1 rules. I always want to use that service first because I had different experiences. From then on, if I refer somebody, that's a person that's, that I fully trust. And so I'm 100% confident that I can refer that person, that the service will be provided is a high quality. And number 3, let's see, finding a networking group that resonates with you. Again, BNI, I was part of BNI. Toastmasters is not a business networking, but still, for me, it's a great networking group to meet new, amazing people, even if it's not business, right? It's always new people, and now it's all these countries here. I am the founder of Women of the World Network myself. It's a community for multicultural immigrant, as well as local women here in US. We do launch, we just launched additional programs as well. Yeah, so finding a community that resonates with you. Number 2, being considerate of cultural differences. Again, cross-cultural communications, such a big topic. Some cultures are more, or some people, I guess, some may be a little bit more culturally reserved. I know that from my culture, even though I've been living here a lot of time, so I'm always aware of that, right? Even though I'm an outgoing person, doesn't mean that the person I meet is the same. And then, of course, the topics. So I have a rule not to talk religious, not to talk politics. That's my big rule. I never ask people those questions, including age as well, especially when, men and women communication. And then number 1 is intention. That's a big one. When going to an event, even when waking up in the morning, having a proper intention, or when meeting in person, what's your intention? Being intentional is huge for me. When I go to a networking event, I typically have a specific goal that I'm there. I don't just go, but there's a goal that I'm going with. I hope those are helpful. Those were the 10 ones that I definitely use in my business networking or general networking, and I'll give it back to Michelle.
Thank you. That was fabulous, Elle. I loved your examples, all the different ones. In fact, I even wrote them down. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to get myself back in here again. The next thing I want to go over is, timer, please give a minute on the timing clock for our evaluator to get a chance to write his notes. And Taufik, I'm going to give you a little more time because I'm also going to talk about timing afterwards so that people understand what a great job Bhumi is doing. So when you have a minute, you let me know, okay? Okay. Are you done? You're okay, Taufik?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you. And Bhumi, you can stop timing. Well, you can time me. Give me about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to talk about timing. So the first thing to know is that timing is super important in Toastmasters. And you may be wondering, well, why is timing so important? Can't we just talk as long as we want? If you are talking in public, generally you're going to have a specific amount of time in which to talk. So developing that sensitivity to time is huge. So when you are asked to be a timer, you really need to take it seriously. I can tell you that there's nothing worse than a timer who goes missing in action. And there you are talking. And that was what I felt was going on with Swarna this evening, is that I didn't know where the timer was. I wasn't accessing the timer, but there she was, and she wasn't stopping. And anyway, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. One time I was doing a speech at an international speech competition in my club, and the timer got the timing wrong. Instead of giving me 7 minutes, she gave me 4 minutes. And I thought I got caught in some time warp. And it's terrible to be in the middle of a contest and be suddenly told, see the red flag. So how do you time? Well, there are several things that you can do. One is you can have a clock. I have a stopwatch on my watch, but if you have a smartphone, there is actually an app called for Toastmasters, and darn it, you can't see this, can you? There is, whoops, never mind. That's gonna, but anyway, it has the colors on it. Now, I don't say that you use it for here, because you see that you can't see the colors. It's like, it's white. I don't know what's going on, right? And this is actually blue. But there is an app that you can use. And the cool thing is you put that in front of you, and the color will catch your eyes and will remind you. So look, see, she's got the green. I got to get moving here. The other thing is the color background. So there is a color background that you can use that will let people know that the time is up, that the green is when people are usually 1 minute away. Now, different timing for different speech lengths. If you have a 5 to 7 minute, the green comes up at 5, the yellow comes up at 6, and the red comes up at 7. But if you're doing a short speech, it comes way quicker. If you're doing a 2-minute speech, it's like a minute and a half, and 2 minutes. And generally you have 30 seconds after that in which to complete the speech and still be within the time limit. So you have a little bit of extra time. I want to talk a little bit also about why timing is so important. No, I'm not. That's it. I'm done. The red. So you want to generally know when it is for you to finish. You want to really pay attention. That's why in Toastmasters competitions, there are 2 timers, one who's showing the colors and the other one who's checking to make sure that the time is right. And in a speech competition, it's super important, but it's always important. I can't tell you of how disconcerting it is when you're giving a speech and there is no timing and you're like, well, where am I? How am I doing? And here's another thing that I really like about Toastmasters. I know I'm going over my time, but here's another thing I like about the timing. When I was first speaking, before I joined Toastmasters, I gave speeches from 20 minutes to 90 minutes to 2 hours. Well, those were more like trainings, right? And now I'm in Toastmasters and I have to squish my speech down to 7 minutes. And what I found was amazing about doing that is I found out what was really important in my speech. So I really encourage you to embrace the timing and to learn the timing. Thank you. Back to Taufik, who's going to give us an evaluation of L. And I guess you're going to put a 3-minute time on that, Bhumi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle, Dr. Michelle. It was lovely again. Ellie, congratulations. It was brilliant. Your presentation skills are very, very admirable. And certainly I felt the importance of networking and the benefits that you explained right from 10 to the most important, the number 1. And I really appreciate, and it's not only the word of the day, but I really appreciate you awesomely took the Speechcraft coordinators word that you need to stand. Yeah, I can't stand now, but really you took it in a very short time and you made it fantastically, beautifully, awesome display, and you got it on well in time. So I really appreciate and admire for that beautiful skill that you adapted in very short notice. And you definitely are going to be an asset for our leaders worldwide, with your immense capability as well as your skills that you just demonstrated and your adaptness to learn things. I really commend that, and also for your strong voice. I also recommend that you work on your articulation. You yourself admitted that there's some and there's also when you speak the clarity. The clarity is perfect, but you just need to time it so that it can be organized in an effective way. My final commendation for your speech structure, it is brilliant. It was very effective, and also our speech coordinator, she noted down as well as I made notes of that and points of that. It was brilliant. And to summarize, I commend you firstly for your strong voice and recommend that you improve your delivery by speaking a little bit slower and clearer, which can just let it suck into us with a little bit of pauses and a little bit of even the movement of your stage presence, which was just demonstrated in the Speechcraft. Like you can go like 10, 5, 4, and as a countdown. That will be awesome and brilliant. So it was wonderfully done, and I really appreciate for the time that you have taken and you have noticed it down and all the movements that you made. It was brilliant, and we love to hear the speeches coming forward, and we expect a lot coming in Leaders Worldwide and giving us the immense exploration to launch the rocket that we aim to at the very near future or near course of time. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Dr. Michelle.
Thank you, Tawfiq. That was excellent. And hold on a second while I change the pin. Oh, we're going to have both of us on. That's a good idea. What a great idea. So Tawfiq, excellent evaluation. You use the sandwich method. And one of the things that I particularly like is that you really had way more positives than stretch goals, which is always a good approach. The more, and to be very specific about the things that you liked also is excellent. We want to know why it was good. And you gave specific examples instead of, I really like your speech, I have nothing to comment on. You gave specifics about what you liked. You said she was brilliant, very admirable, that she utilized information that she had received from me and also information that she got from Swarna in her speech. This is really jumping into the moment and utilizing everything. You mentioned her strong voice, totally has strong voice. And I'm going to have to take a sip of water because I'm starting. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, you mentioned, I'm losing my voice, where'd it go? You mentioned that she had a strong voice, which I no longer have. I don't know where it went. And you mentioned work on articulation. And you said that if you pause or you speak slower, that it will give people the chance to hear what you're saying. Now, Elle gave us 10 points in 7 minutes. That's a lot. One of my suggestions might have been, Elle, don't give 10 points, give 5. Give us the best 5. And when you give those, this would be my stretch goal. Give us specific examples so that they really land. Don't overwhelm us because we don't really have the capacity to listen to much more than 3. So 5 is a stretching it. But I loved, and I was trying to write them all down and I couldn't even keep up with you. But it's clear that you were a great networker, that you were enthusiasm. So you mentioned her strong voice. I would also mention her enthusiasm, but you at the end, I'm like switching over to evaluating Elle and I need to come back to Tawfiq. You gave a stretch and it was really about working on articulation and pause. And those were really, really key points. They were really important. And then finally, you ended up upbeat, saying that she was brilliant and that she was going to be a real asset to the Leaders Worldwide community, and that you looked forward to hearing her speak more and having, more impact. So really excellent evaluation, really, really showed up, did the good things that we need in an evaluation. So I look forward to having you evaluate more people and hearing your evaluations. Thank you, Taufik. Okay. So now we're going to go to table topics, and the subject is I have a dream. That's the theme of tonight. So guess what? The table topics tonight has to do with your dreams. Who would, I think we already have guest one. Yes, Munish, would you like to be our first table topics? And it's 2 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and pin you. And we can't hear you.
30 seconds is a grace period. 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Right. And you're going to tell us about your dream.
Good morning, everybody. When I was small, I had a dream to become a police officer. Because I used to watch Bollywood movies. In those movies, the glamour was shown of police officer, driving motorcycle, keeping a revolver on the other side, showing that police officer is not accountable. He can go anywhere he can do the raid. And that glamour brought me, inspired me, motivated me that I should become police officer. I bought a uniform too when I was small, and cap. Sometimes I used to stand in front of a mirror and see myself that I have become a police officer. I belong to a business family. I was not bothered about my business. I was more concerned where the salary was meager to become a police officer, just for glamour. But now today I realize, by the grace of God, I didn't become. Because now I see the life of the police officer. The grass is always greener on the other side. Their life, when we see they are in the town, it's fine. It looks glamour. When they're out of the town, when they're posted somewhere else in the outskirts, then their life is hell. And they have to manage the posting in India to pay the money. And that's a tough task. I can't do it. Now I myself find I'm lucky that that dream, which I had when I was small, was not fulfilled. Whenever I see this police officer, when they abuse, they torture, they harass somebody, today I can realize karma, their karma will definitely pay them. So they have to see the wrath of the God after some time. So I had a dream which was not fulfilled, but I had a dream. Thank you. Out to the Toastmaster, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for stepping up there. And whoops, I need to unpin. Thank you for giving us your speech and telling us about your not dream, your dream that became just a dream and not a reality. Thank you very much, Munish. Does somebody else want to step up and do a table topics and tell us about a dream that maybe you actually have fulfilled? Oh, and okay, thank you. Any one of you want to give a speech? Cassandra, Bhumi, I could time you if you like, or Linda, would you like to try a table topics? Linda, yes?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and put you up there, and Bhumi is going to time you. long, 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you for letting me, giving me a chance to speak on this platform. I had a dream. I don't know if I have a dream. I have a very low profile sort of living in a simple life. But since I joined Toastmasters, and I'm still journeying through this journey. I've almost finished I have finished the traditional education path, and I'm on the pathway, and I'm starting on my free path in engaging humor. The other path is on reflective coaching. For what I'm just trying to say is that I had a dream, because after many years, like since I joined, like 15 years, I have not even achieved my DTM. Opportunities were not given to me. Nobody coached me. And I just went along having fun, social, like widening my circle of friends. But then this opportunity came when Toastmaster Internationals instilled the 3 months incentive of getting, if you can get a sponsor, charter a club, then you get credit on it, and then before, on top of whatever you have finished in the education path. So with my friend over in Singapore who helped me along to post something on international members group, and we were able to charter a club, and I think it's going to into fruition. Is the charter papers have been submitted. So within the next week or so, the club will be functioning. So that was a dream of hoping to get the DTM. Yeah. Thank you.
Linda, thank you so much. That was for stepping up and doing a table topics and sharing the amazing accomplishment of chartering a club. And having just recently been involved in chartering this club, I know how much work it takes to get a new club going. And I hope that this will actually provide you with more of the support that you need to reach all of your goals. Because of course, not all Toastmasters clubs are equal, but you have created a club that you can create with your vision in mind. So I love your dream and thank you so much. Does anybody else want to give a table topic before we break? We have maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. Does anybody want to step up? Cassandra, do you want to?
If you want, I can, if you agree, I can speak once more.
Well, we really need to get, yeah, we could, but let me just see if there's anybody else who wants to speak first.
Sure,
Cassandra, do you want to speak, Cassandra?
sure.
Awesome. So
Okay.
can we see you?
Let's see if I can get this going here. Hold on. And video. Can you see me now?
I sure can.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pin you, and you're going to tell us what your dream is.
My dream is to travel the land. I come from a place that, growing up, that was very diverse, and I wanted to continue that journey. I traveled all through the lands, traveled the world, meeting all sorts of people, traveled all over the world, Italy, France. I wanted to meet people, and I did. All sorts of people. Meeting the cultures, tasting their food, They're meeting the people, their religion. It was beautiful. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to meet the people. I wanted to taste just what it was to be different. Wanted to feel what it was like, different from what it was like at home. And it was to respect other people's culture, their religion, what it was like just to be at home, what it was feel like to be at home, what they called home, to respect them with dignity and honor. And I could appreciate that. And so with that, it was like a sisterhood, it was like a brotherhood, it was a kinship. And for that, I could say it was peace, because even though it was, the skin was different, there was a love, and that wasn't different. And even though the language was different, there was still a universal understanding that we all still wanted the same thing. And that was to respect one another, to understand one another, to honor one another. People universally, that's all people wanted. We all want that, to have respect, to be understood, to walk hand in hand. That's all we all want, and have love one another. And so with that, I traveled the land. I walked throughout this country, Europe, Asia, Africa, understanding their culture, understanding their language, understanding how they lived, respecting their land, respecting their culture.
Cassandra, that is such a beautiful speech. We are out of time. I need to return people to the main room. Thank you so much for stepping up. I'm so impressed with all the places that you have gone to, and I would love to hear more about that at another time. And I look forward to hearing from you again. All right, so I'm asking you all, we're going to close out the room, we're going to leave the room, and please mute yourself so that you arrive in the main room quietly, so that you don't interrupt anything that's going on. Thank you all for your participation in the breakout room, and go ahead and prepare for your second speech. Hopefully taking some of the ideas and the evaluations that were given today and incorporating it into your speech so that you can continue to improve. And
thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any final comments before I, well, you can just click leave the room yourself. Okay, bye.
Bye.
See you there.
Your district as a director. And I was thinking, how can Carolyn do this again? How can Carolyn do this message again and again and again? And the reason is that, for one, we all need to fly into that love, that great place that MLK's inspiration brings us. and that you carry so well. The healing, uplifting energy flowed through your breath, through your voice, through your body. And that made me, and I'm sure others in the audience, be with you, be in love with MLK. And so we need that. We need that now. Something that you could add to your speech and carry it past MLK week into now, because we need healing. You know that famous quote, a problem cannot be solved from the level of consciousness from which it, within the level of consciousness from which it arose. So we need MLK to inspire the healing from the problems that we are grappling with every day now. I loved how you said that, what were your words? He gave us a look at the lifetime of this nation, and every birthday we get to pause and reflect at where we are in the lifetime of this nation. And I think that we can do that every day. I think that his awesome, awesome gifts can help us now when we really need it. So, details, you're great. More, please. Thank you, Carolyn.
Great.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. And finally, I would like to invite Khadisha Curry to give her report on an evaluation on Regina Davis's speech.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Good evening. It's a pleasure this evening to evaluate Regina's speech. Regina, I strongly feel that you excelled at engaging the audience, your delivery, and providing a relatable speech topic. In terms of engaging the audience, I think you use rhetorical questions very well throughout your speech. And that helped to keep the audience actively involved in your speech. In terms of your delivery, I think it was superb. You had excellent eye contact. You looked at the camera lens. You projected your voice. There was vocal variety. I also saw macro hand gestures to punctuate your main points. That was well done. In terms of the relatable topic, we can all relate to smiling and being happy and appreciating life. So I thank you for that, and I appreciate that. I thought of two things that if you were to incorporate in your future speeches, they would make your speech even more impactful. The first one is to sustain eye contact. I saw when you had forgotten something and you looked up. When you looked up, it broke that eye contact with the audience. And though it was pretty short, it was just a little bit distracting. But again, just if you lose your train of thought, just pause for a moment and just keep looking at the audience while it comes back to you. The second thing is your use of notes. It was well done. I want to commend you on that. You had a nice flow to changing your paper and going on to the next point and so on. I want to have you consider to have an electronic notes, like have your notes on screen so you can just use the space bar or the return button just to go through it seamlessly. That would make your speech even more impactful. So in summary, Regina, I think you did an amazing job delivering your speech this evening. Really good audience participation. Your delivery was spot on, relatable topic. And if you could just sustain eye contact instead of looking up, and also to have your notes on the screen, your speech will be even more impactful in the future. And I look forward to hearing more of your speeches. Congratulations, Regina. Well done.
Thank you so much, Khadisha. Madam Toastmaster, I'm assuming that this would be the right time for the grammarian and timekeeper's reports. Am I correct?
We're not going to have time for that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then I will return the podium to the Toastmaster, Jan Robinson.
Thank you, Tony Thayer. I now welcome back to the podium our esteemed president, Cynthia Stott. Cynthia.
Thank you, Jan. And I'm so sorry we couldn't have our reports for our timer and our grammarian. We just didn't have time today. Somehow the agenda always gets away from us. And I'm sad to say I'm going to have to decide if we can have a third speaker or not, because it's pretty routine that we lose time. So I think we're going to have to switch that, unfortunately. But then we'll be more on time, and we'll actually have to have enough time for table topics and reports and evaluations and all that. So this is the time where you can share what you learned from today. What are your takeaways? Any comments that you have? If you can raise your hand, we have virtual chocolates for you when you're ready. And Curtis, can you tell me if anybody has their hand up with something they want to share that they're taking away from today? Whether it's in the main room or in the Speechcraft room.
Here we have a hand raised from Sally.
Yes, just make sure I go.
Sally? Hello?
No, you muted again.
You were unmute and then you muted. And raise your hand if you're.
Thank you. I'm on now. I would
Yes.
like to appreciate how everyone pulled together a magnificent day, like celebrating Martin Luther King Day. It was brought me to tears how beautifully people spoke about each of the effective actions that Martin Luther King not only portrayed, but wrote about, and then we spotlighted them, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. And I love your powerful tears for how you're touched in this moment from the sharing that you heard today. Would you like a chocolate?
Oh, sure.
Here you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And would any of our guests like to share what they're taking away or comments that they had from the meeting, or questions?
We have a hand raised from Deborah.
Deborah. Hi, Deborah.
I love the cross-cultural communication tips. That was really, really helpful and something that I think we all could learn, and it would really just help everybody get along and be happier together.
Yeah. Important to know, because sometimes you have no idea you're offending someone.
Oh, and I want to know. I don't want to offend anyone.
Exactly.
What I'm doing is appropriate for where I'm at, where I am, or who I'm talking to.
But if you communicate with an open heart, I think you can communicate across the cultures. Great. Thank you. You want a chocolate?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Here it comes. All right. And anybody else want to share?
We have our guest, Munish.
Great. Munish, welcome.
It's an incredible meeting. I really enjoyed. I would love to attend your meeting again and again. I like the Speechcraft system, which I attended many clubs. I never saw the way they were telling each and everything. And that is the way to learn. A person who's newbie, who's a greenhorn, he can learn at Speechcraft. That is the best way. Even in my club, I'm going to give suggestion that they should also follow that thing. Thank you. Out to the Toastmaster, please.
Thank you so much. And yes, Speechcraft is very unique how we do it here, where we do it alongside a meeting, and we do it regularly. So please come back. Next week, we're going to have, I think, 14 people speaking at once in the breakout sessions. So that's
That's great.
another unique thing that we offer in Speechcraft. Thank you.
Throw him
Thank
some chocolate.
Oh, chocolate. Yes. Would you like chocolate? There's no calories. No
You have
sugar.
to send me courier through in India.
All right, here it comes.
Thank you. I'll eat also. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else? Curtis, do we have anyone else
Yes.
raising their hand?
Swarna.
Swarna. All right. Our keynote address. And evaluator impromptu. That was great.
President, yeah, can you hear me, Madam President?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. For all of you here, I would really say that, you know, this is my first keynote address, and I'm so overwhelmed with the support that I get from the Expo to do something that I have not done. And I feel good that today I stepped out of my comfort zone, you know, and trying to do something that I have not done before was something, and I really love the support that I have from you. So I really appreciate what you're doing for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Swarna. And you did beautifully. I'm so glad that you were our keynote address today and that you talked about this really important cross-cultural topic that I've been looking for speakers, and then boom, you popped up. I love it.
Chocolate.
Yes.
Where's
Would you
my
like some
chocolate?
chocolate, Swarna? Here it comes. Great. And I think that's all we have time for. It's been a lovely meeting. Announcements. Next week, we have, like I said, we're going to be having quite a 12 or 14 people speaking in the Speechcraft in our afternoon session. Then the session after that, we're having an evaluation contest. There's still room to be a contestant. And then the week after that, February 8th, we're having an international speech contest, and that's been booked for over a month. We have 8 speakers, so it's going to be very exciting to come and hear them speak. And we hope that you will join us and maybe pick up some roles along the way. So do we have any other announcements, Linda?
I believe you covered everything.
One more is our area contest will be on February 22nd in the evening. I'm not sure yet if we'll probably not meet that day in support of our evening contest. So we won't have
Division D on Thursday, the 18th of March.
Yes, the Division D contest, it's an evening, and that won't affect our meeting time. And that will be at 6 to 9 p.m. So we'll send you information in an email. We also have that in our Global Leader magazine, which we just launched. That's our newsletter, and it has all the information in there. And if you would like to be a part of the newsletter, please send us a picture of you and what you're passionate about doing so that we can include that in our newsletter. We also want articles for next month and participation. So you can do that by emailing me, cynthias.dtm@gmail.com. Again, that's my first and last name, dtm@gmail.com. cynthias.dtm@gmail.com. Well, thank you so much for.
Did you mention the area international contest on March 1st?
I think we're only doing February 22nd. We're combining them. Michelle decided that we could combine the evaluation and the international
Okay, because
together.
at the moment I have them on 2 different dates.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And my chairs assure me that we can do them both at the same night, but I'm keeping the March 1st just in case something unexpected happens.
So we will have a meeting on March 1st, but probably not on February 22nd. So you can come and support the area contest. Great. Well, it's 8 o'clock Pacific time. And I want to thank you all for being here and for all your flexibility and for jumping in at the last minute, and especially for Tony for his flexibility in being the general evaluator. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Leave. Where's the leave part? Oh, there.
Cynthia, I have a suggestion.
Uh-huh.
Some of the clubs put the timers report in the chat, and that saves a lot of time.
A chat. Okay. We could do that, or we could do a PowerPoint distribution of it. We have access